Welcome to the session. Topic of this session is governance and policy. In a policy process, a number of the decisions are taken by the different stakeholders. When we frame the policy, when we implement the policy, various decisions are taken, starting from the identification of the policy issues, the problem of the the intended users or the target groups, the identification and selection of the goal, the identification of the policy instruments, development of the execution plan, implementation plan, and the monitoring and evaluation. So, there are a number of the decisions are taken, and this decision making process also a very complex process, involve different stakeholders, key stakeholders. They influence the policy process and also they influence the decisions actually. So, basically in this session we will be discussing about the decision making process for the policy implementation, policy planning, policy executions, and so basically how the decisions are taken, who influence the decisions, who take the decisions, and the key factors or key elements for the governance or the decision making process or the principles of governance. We will be discussing the importance of the governance, particularly in the case of the policy implications, how it affects the policy outcomes. So, all these things we are going to discuss in this session. So, let us start the concept of the governance. What do we mean by the governance? So, governance basically is the process of decision making and the process by which decisions are implemented or sometimes not implemented. An analysis of governance basically is very important, and this analysis of governance focuses on the the formal and informal actors basically which are involved in the decision making process or in the implementing decisions. So, there are different actors, like government sector, government actors or the stakeholders like farmers, the civil society organizations, the market or market players. So, they are the different type of actors are there. So, how they take the decisions, so that is also part of the the focus of the governance analysis. Then there are different organizational involved, the formal, informal organizations like the government institutions, research organization, policy making institutions, or the informal organization like farmers group or the cooperative organization, also a kind of the formal organizations. So, they have some role in the policy decisions or decision making process. So, we also discuss about that, and that is a part of the governance analysis. We have the government, there are influential leaders or landlords in the villages or in the society. Then we have the associations of peasant farmers, cooperative organization, non-government organization, research institutions, religious leaders also influence the decision making process, the financial institutions, banks, the political party. So, all these are the various key actors. So, here we can define the governance. So, basically governance is the exercise of the political authority and the use of the institutional resources to manage the society's problems and affairs. So, this definition is given by the World Bank. So, according to this, governance is basically the exercise of the political authority. So, it is basically exercise of the power which a party or a government or a organization is having, and the purpose is to manage the institutional resources to solve the society problems or society affairs. So, how they exercise their power to solve the problem. So, here there are many things are there, like use of the institution, how to solve the problems, how we use the institution, or how we use the structure of the authority, the organizational authority, and even the how they collaborate in this institution or authorities to allocate the resources, whatever the resources, limited resources we have, how we allocate these resources, and so we coordinate, the government coordinate or decision making bodies that coordinate or control the different activity to serve the society or to serve the economy. So here basically in the decision making process we can define the good governance. So what do we mean by the good governance? So good governance is basically a system or a decision making process which fight with the corruption. So if there is no corruption, we say the good governance. So in good governance means increasing the transparency, accountability or responsibilities when the key actors or and then eliminating the culture of immunity. If some person do something wrong in the policy decision making or in implementation stage, so there is no way to hide from the punishment. So if there is no culture of impunity, then we say the good governance. So reforming the judicial and legal system is also important. Then public administration, including the decentralization and decentralization and deconcentration of the power, and that is also basically we can say the good governance. So here we are not giving all the authority, all the power to one person or one organization. Actually we are giving the power among our societies or different stakeholders, so they take the decision in a very consensus way, so that they arrive at good policy decisions or at good decision making process. So so how to achieve the good governance? So what are the different actors? So what are the different methods? So there are three broad ways to occur the governance. One is the top down methods. So here basically the primary the government, they involve the state bureaucracy, the government bureaucracy, they involve, they take the decisions. So here decision making process start from the top, top of the government, or the government takes some decisions. And then the another mechanism we have, the another way we have is the use of the market mechanism. So here the market principle of competition serve the purpose to allocate the resources while operating under the government regulations. So here basically the market process or demand or supply process, they work, that help in they help in taking the decisions about the allocation of the resources. Where the more productivity is there, more in revenue generations there, the resources will be go in that side. So and of course the government regulations there on the marketing activity. Then third is the networks. And so because here we have different stakeholders, so here basically a networking of the public sectors or private sectors, non-formal sectors. So here public private partnership play important roles, and they basically collaborate with even with the community organization to involve in the decision making process. So good governance means basically the competent management of the country resources and affairs in a manner that is open, transparent and accountable, equitable or responsive to the people. So this is basically the good governance, basically this such type of the management which are competent in the resource allocation and in a manner that this all the decisions related to resource allocation is in open way. Everybody can participate in the decision making process, and the system is very transparent, accountable and equitable and responsive to the people need. So what is the importance of the good governance? And it play important role to mobilize the domestic and international resources, and basically objective is to attain the development goals. So and as also the good governance basically ensure the efficiency of the state institution, and also the equity and social justice is achieved. Basically that help in strengthening the social cohesion and stability among the society, among the nation. And if we don't have the good governance, or there is a weak governance is there in the country or in the system, it basically hinders the healthy development of private sectors, and basically the weakened government institutions will be as a result of the good weak governance, and it corrects the phenomena of the corruption, start the corruptions in the country, and it also complicates the legal system, procedure and administrative process. And basically if there is a good weak governance, and we loses the efficiency in the country, and also the there is no good qualities public services available in the country. So here the investor or businessmen or people lose their confidence on the government institutions, so they do not come forward to take the decision to invest to have the investment in the country, to start the some production activity, because there is no proper decision making process, or there is no proper good governance in the country. So basically the good governance is also serve as a purpose for the as a benchmark for the investor to take the decisions, to assess the to determine the size and types of investment. So if there is a good governance, they come forward, they are sure that there will be no problems, and whenever we take decisions, we will be able to mobilize the resources, we will be able to utilize the resources properly, and basically they observe, the multinational company, they observe what are the going on the domestic economy, if there is proper, there is no corruption is there, there is no wasteful wastage of resources are there, there are efficient or mobilization of domestic resources is possible, then only they come forward. So actually the good governance basically the quality of the governance basically influence the level of the performance or impact in the society. If there is a good governance, there will be good performance of all the resources, the human resources, the financial resources, and we will achieve the good result. So when we talk about the governance principles, there are basically two types of the governance principle. One is the political principle, another is the economic principle. So basically this principle help in achieving the governance in the country. So basically, so according to the political process, the country should a representative and accountable form of the government. So actually the government should represent the all section of the society, and the government should also be the accountable to the every section of the society. And there is also need to have strong pluralistic civil societies. Basically we should, or the society can express their views, or they have the freedom to express their view, or the association they have the freedom to express their view, and then the good institution also required to achieve the good governance in the country, because there should be a set rules to govern the or the action of the individuals and organization, and if there is a difference, are there difference section of the society, and they can negotiate, they can talk to each other. So if there is a system is there, then we can say that we can achieve the good governance. And in the country basically the rule of law should prevail, and actually this rule of law should be maintained in impartial way, and actually it should have, for that purpose we should have the effective legal system also to achieve to have the rule of law in the country. And for achieving the good governance, we should have the high degree of the transparency and accountability in the public and corporate process. So if there is a transparency is there and there is accountability there, the system will work in a very efficient way and with very honesty, and we will be able to achieve the results. Then the economic principle also very important, and actually the policies we should have, which should promote the broad-based economic growth. Actually, it should allow the dynamic private sector to play to have the social policies, and actually the ultimate goal should be actually to lead in the poverty reduction. So we should plan the broad-based economic growth. So actually every society, every section of the society should be benefited from the policies. So and in that way we can achieve the governance in the country. And actually there should be priority on the investment in the people. Actually Actually, whenever we plan some policy actions, it should provide the quality life to the people of the country. Like in the quality education should be there, the health issues should be resolved, and there are other services which are required by society. The people, it should be provided. So there's for such the services we should have the good investment in this. And the development of the competitive private sector is also very important, and to achieve the good governance, basically for market to function. And if we want to develop the private sector, and we want that the market should work in proper way, the society should also follow some norms. Actually, the society, all the type of norms, actually they should respect the contract and property rights issues. So there should be no conflict between the society and market forces can work in a harmonious way. And we also need to have the careful management of the national economy. That is very important. Actually, in order to maximize the economic return or social advancement, we need to carefully management the national economy. Now we will move to the key elements of the good governance. So what are the different things which are important to have the good governance? So there are 8 key elements of the good governance: participatory, the consensus oriented, accountable, transparent, responsive, and then equitable, and the inclusive, the effective and efficient, and follow the rule of law. These are the 8 key elements of the good governance in the country. Now we will understand all these key elements. And first element of the good governance is the participation. So here basically it refers to the involvement of the citizen in the development process. So basically the beneficiary, the people or the groups which are affected by the project, they should also participate in the decision making process. Basically, so they should also part of the the development process, so they can express their requirement, they can express the way the requirement can be met. So basically here the government should make informed choice of their needs, like all types of people should be included, like in the participation of the both men and women. Then also here government have to take the decisions what type of the participation should be there, whether the people should be involved directly in the decision making process, or their representative can participate. So like if there are large number of the stakeholders or large number of the beneficiaries, so we cannot involve all the people. So in that condition, the representative of the people can be participate, or they can participate in the decision making process. So, and this participation of the people should be very organized, very well informed, and it should be very in the structured form. So, and in this way the social groups, the community, they can protect their rights while involving in the decision making process. The another key element is the rule of law. Basically there should be system for the impartial enforcement of the fair legal framework. So there should be in the country fair legal framework should be exist, so that the for that purpose government regulate the system, the legal system by the laws, regulation and policies. They form different laws, regulation, and actually through this laws basically the government can define the rights and duty of the different people, and they can also develop the mechanism for the enforcement of the fair legal frameworks. And another key element of the good governance is the transparency. So actually transparency means all the informations or of the the decision making process should be available to the general publics, or there should be a clarity about the government rules, regulation and decisions. So we can have the citizens right to information with a degree of legal enforceability. Like if you in India we have the right to information. So if any information we achieve under the Right to Information Act, that has some legal enforceability is there, that can be produced as a proof when we go in the judicial system for some justice. So it basically transparency help in reducing the uncertainty, and it basically inhibits the corruption among the public officers. So if all type of information is available with the general public, or there is a clarity about the rules and regulation, so it will be very difficult to have some corruption by the public official. Then the system should be responsive, the institution and process try to serve the all stakeholders within a reasonable time frame. So that type of the accountability or responsiveness should be there. So the problems should be solved in the very timely manners. And then consensus oriented system should be there. There are several actors and there are many views by different stakeholders in the safe society, and for that purpose we need to have a mediation of the different interests, so that we can reach to a broad consensus. So here we need to have a broad and long term perspective on what that is needed for sustainable human development, and we need to have basically for that purpose the understanding of the historical, cultural and social context of the society, and that is very important. Then the another element of the good governance is the equity and inclusiveness. So basically all members of the society, they should feel that they are part of the society, they are part of the decision making process, they are not excluded from the mainstream. So that is very important. Actually, whenever we talk about the inclusive growth, means the all section of the society, they have taken their views, and their views have been taken in the policy making process. So they feel the main they part of the mainstream. They not feel excluded from the the power. So in all group, particularly the most vulnerable section of the society, they should have an opportunity to improve and maintain their well-being. So that is very important. And then the effectiveness and efficiency is also very important to achieve the good governance and to have the good governance. So here the process and institution produce results that meet the need of the society, and with the best use of the resources at their disposal. So whenever the resources are there which are in the limited in the quantity, and so we should utilize the resources in the best way, so that the society need can be met. So it also covers basically the sustainable use of the natural resources and the protection of the environment. That is also very much important when we talk about the effectiveness and the efficiency key element. Then the last the elements of the good governance is the accountability. So it is basically key to the the good governance. It is basically key requirement of the good governance, and it means the public official must be answerable to the society and to the decision making process. So here the private sector and civil society organization, they should also be accountable to the public. Whenever the decisions is taken by some private sector, they should also be accountable to the public or to their institutional stakeholder. Actually, whenever the some investment opportunity or some investment activity by the private sector, so they should be accountable to the key stakeholder of the institution. And here basically the organization or institution should be accountable to those who will be affected by its decision and action. So basically the decisions should be taken keeping in view the target users which are going to be affected by the actions. So accountability cannot be enforced without the transparency and the rule of law. So transparency and rule of law is also required to have the accountability in the system. So there are many problems, and there are some agendas of the good governance in India. Like, and when we talk about the India, there are three important sectors where reforms are required, like we need to have the fight against the corruption. So, and for that purpose, we need to have the flawless laws and monitoring system. Then we need to have legal and judicial reforms in the country. Then we also need to have the public administration reforms, including the decentralization. So, power should be given the all individual in the country. And electronic governance is also important, particularly in the agriculture sector. So, here we can use the ICT delivering the governance products and services which are the used to the farmers and those working in the agriculture sector. So, like we need to have various type of information in the agriculture, like information in the seed, fertilizers, rainfall scheme, subsidies, prices, the extension system, training and vaccination programs, credit availability and interest rate. So, such type of information we require in the agriculture sectors, and actually it helps in the quality, it improves the quality and standards of the working and provide the new agriculture related governance services and enhance the participation of the agricultural community, because it provides a tool to effectively participate in the decision making process and eventually bring the new sections under the governance sphere in the decision making process. And what are the implications of the good governance basically on the policy implementation or policy development? So, basically we need to prepare a short term and medium term strategy that would easily merge into the long term policy framework. So, actually this strategy should be prepared according to the emerging economic scenario of the country, and the governance issue differ from the place to place. So, whenever we plan any strategy for the good governance, it may vary according to place, and the solution to the governance problem must be tailored individually. So, for different situations we need to have different solutions for the governance problem, and some important generating things that could have profound impact on the future of the policy governance in India: the policy process, the regulatory process, and environmental and social aspects. So, we need to discuss about little bit about all these three process. And basically when we talk about the policy process, we need to have informed the policy making process at the national level to ensure the clarity in the jurisdiction, the procedures and timeliness, and also the access to background analysis and expert inputs, and dissemination of the draft policy, access to the comments and suggestions. So, all should be there in the decision making process. So, there should be clear jurisdiction of the stakeholder, the clarity and the information should be available to all. The draft should be disseminated to all the stakeholder society. Even the comments and suggestion of the experts should be available to all the people, so we can improve the policy process. So, here again we need to ensure the transparency in the selection of the regulatory commission members, and to ensure the greater transparency, we need to also know the role played by the consultants or donor agency, their role in the policy making process. And then in case of the regulatory process, we need to develop the training programs, or we need to develop the capacity building mechanism for the regulatory and government official and civil society organization. So, here we need to provide the training on the technical aspect, economic aspect, or even the legal aspect. And here basically we can give a multidisciplinary capacity building programs for the capacity building of the different officials, and here we can create the mechanism for the provision of financial as well as the analytical resources to the civil society group or weaker section or marginal sections of society. And we need to create the mechanism to operationalize the various transparency and accountability and participation related provisions in the Act and regulations. And actually purpose is to provide the easy access to all relevant information and documents, and provide the greater democratic space and easy access to redressal mechanism. And the last part of policy implication where we need to have some activity is the environmental and social aspect. So, basically we need to broaden the mandate of the core institution to internalize the social and environmental and consideration. Actually, we need to have the information on the social and environmental aspects, we need to consider while taking the decision of the policy all this environmental and social aspect also. So, here we need to build and expand the capacity of the institution to address the social and environmental consideration, and here we need to strengthen the attention to a neglected social and environmental dimension of the policy reform for both the region to have the better outcome and to better ensure long-term sustainability of the reforms process. Now, we can sum up the session that we have the need for the efficient government which actually respond to the need of the rapid changing international environment, and we need to have strong and active parties, private sectors and civil society that jointly develop the country by developing good governance principles. And for good policies, rigorous and consistent implementation is very important, and we must improve the cooperation and information sharing to achieve the good governance in the country. So e-governances can also be designed to provide the governance information, and basically good governance is an ideal condition, but it is very difficult to achieve in its totality. Only very few countries they come close in achieving the good governance. With this, I thank you all.